Welcome to hell. The exit is over there, and you can leave whenever you want. There's gotta be a catch. Demon shrugged. Not really. You're free to come and go as you please. What about eternal torment? Punishment for our sins? Demon laughed at that. We don't actually care about any of that. This is just where souls end up when they die, if you want to stay, though. The demon grinned a too wide smile, showing too many sharp teeth. We'd be happy to torture you all you like. The demon walked off, and you looked around. There were plenty of people around. And although none of them really looked like they were being actively tortured, they all had a haunted look in their eyes. Each one of them flinched as the demon passed. Clearly, the demon was serious about the torture. So why was everyone giving the exit such a wide berth? There must be something terrible out there, something worse, somehow, than eternal torture. Dread wrestled with curiosity inside you. Just one peek, one look into a fate worse than hell. You could spend the rest of eternity being tortured, safely convinced it was the better option. You approached the exit. It was an unassuming door marked primarily by the bubble of empty space from people partying around it like a fish in a school of minnows. Suddenly somebody rushed up to you and grabbed you by the arm. Don't go, they pleaded. You may not be able to find your way back. What's out there? The haunted look on their face, common to all in hell, somehow became deeper. Purgatory, they whispered. You pulled yourself out of their grasp with a reassuring smile. Don't worry, I won't go too far. You stepped to the door and pulled it open. Beyond was a blank white light. Like the transition between scenes in the movie, you stepped through the door and into the light. The whiteness immediately bore down on you like the air on a hot, muggy day, pressed against your body, numbing your limbs, filled your ears with white noise so loud you could hear nothing else, filled your mouth and nose with a sharp flavor that somehow still smelled of nothing. The very space around you seemed to be emitting a white light that stung your eyes and encroached on your vision, blurring the edges of your arms when you checked to make sure they were still there. Even closing your eyes couldn't block out the light entirely. You turned around for the door, when you finally it had disappeared. You were stuck. With nothing else to do, you walked. It was purposeful, at first. There had to be something in the space, whether another person or an exit. The only indication that you were going anywhere at all was the feeling of your legs moving under you. And even then, you could barely feel your feet as they made contact with the ground. As you walked, you thought this was less purposeful, just the idle musings of a person going about their day. You thought about that place called hell, and you thought about your life. You thought about the strangeness of this place, and thought the person who had tried to stop you had been very apt to call it purgatory. You don't know how long you walked. You didn't get hungry or tired. Nothing changed in this place to indicate the passing of time. You kept walking, but you found nothing. You tried singing as you walked, something to cut through the empty noise filling your ears, but you couldn't hear yourself. You tried talking, but were too numb to feel your lips moving. You held your hands to your throat, but couldn't feel the vibrations of your vocal cords as you screamed. You kept walking, but you still found nothing. You kept walking, but found nothing but nothingness. Yes, you had decided that this oppressive whiteness was actually nothing itself. It had seemed like a contradiction at first. Nothing was the absence of something, and this whiteness you were walking through was absolutely something. But you had made the mistake of defining something and nothing as a matter of substance. This whiteness was the substance of nothing. You kept walking and accidentally bit your tongue. It was more than you had felt in who knows how long. It wasn't quite enough to break through to nothingness, but it was enough to remind you that it hadn't always been there. The nothingness consumed the feeling rather quickly, and you bit your tongue again, this time intentionally. The feeling was consumed faster every time you bit your tongue, till you weren't sure you were actually biting your tongue at all. You tried scratching at your arms next, at least you could see what you were doing then. But even as blood dripped down onto your still moving legs, why wouldn't your legs be moving? You felt nothing. You kept walking and tried closing your eyes. The whiteness was painful. Any sort of reprieve would be welcome, but it still shone through your shut eyelids. Not as brightly, but just as emptily white. You kept your eyes closed for a while. It really made no difference. You eventually decided to keep your eyes open so you could at least look down at yourself. The light had consumed your fingers and toes. You thought you had those once. It was encroaching heavily on your hands and feet, but at least the parts that were left were not white nothingness. You kept walking and tried to think. It was difficult. You felt like maybe it wasn't always, but you struggled to reach for cohesive thoughts in the nothingness that had started to consume your mind, too. The only evidence you had that there was anything but white was vague memories of colors, sounds, sensations, and the constant view of your own body, frayed by the whiteness as it was. You thought maybe it was better to be consumed by the whiteness. You were something. It was nothing. You didn't belong here. If you had realized you were still walking, you would have stopped, and so you kept walking and found nothing. You kept walking and found nothing. You kept walking and found nothing. Kept walking and found nothing. You kept walking and slammed straight into something. You didn't know what had happened at first. All you knew that your legs were suddenly not moving. It had been so long since you had encountered anything but nothing. Your eyes registered it first. A large area of something as your brain kicked into gear like an old PC being booted up for the first time in years. You remembered how to process the something your eyes saw. It had a color. It was brown. A shape. Rectangle. In a particularly inspired moment, you thought it was made of wood. There was a small part of the something that was different. Your brain was faster in coming up with the color this time. Gold, but slower with the shape. Instead, you remembered its function. Placed a hold to something by with your hands. That's right. You had hands. And make something happen. You were in awe at that thought. The whiteness was trying to consume the something, but you wouldn't let it. You lunged for the handle. That's what the gold something was called. Oh, it felt so good to have enough something to have to specify. The nothingness had long since consumed your hands, but you needed them. Each attempt at the handle brought your hands further out of the nothing till you were able to grasp it. Acting purely on instinct, you twisted the handle and pushed your way into the something. You fell through the door and onto the floor. The something was a shock to your system. Sounds filled your ears. Colors flooded your eyes, and a sensation hit every part of your body. This was a place of something where the nothing did not belong. Just as it had eaten away at you, this place banished it in a heartbeat. You felt something in your eyes and on your face. Your mind told you it was tears. This place of something was quickly clearing away the nothing in your mind, but the going was slower than with your body. When a figure bent over you, you barely recognized that their face was contorted into a smile, let alone that it was too wide or showed too many sharp teeth. Welcome back. I take it you would rather stay here then?